One thing I used to do all the time was tell myself that I don't want to talk to these people, to this person, to this whatever, because they have no value to me. They are of no value to me. They're lower than me or whatever. And I realized that that was just an excuse, you know? Maybe you think like that as well. That, yo, this guy is an idiot. Why would I even want to talk to them? Why would I even want to get into a conversation? Why would I even want to make friends with this type of people, right? I got scared of shit because it was like silence, and then my kid was doing some weird stuff. Anyways, so yeah, there's a lot of people that probably think like that, you know, probably think that, well, a lot of people that you meet are not worth entertaining, you know, they're not worth being your friends, right? Because they're somehow lower than you, even though you've barely met them. And let me tell you one thing, this is an excuse. This is an excuse to not talk to people, to not be social, because if you actually were social, you know, you wouldn't care, because you would realize that everybody has some sort of value. Everybody, you know, you're not the best at everything. Like, you will, most of the time, people are actually interesting. Like, if you actually get to know them, they actually have some interesting things that, you know, are so different from you. Or, you know, this is the thing. A lot of people would say, why would I talk to this guy if he's so different from me? Well, that's the reason you want to talk to him, because he's so different. You will see another perspective. You'll be like, huh, I guess the world is not just black and white, there's also gray. You know what I'm saying? Likewise, I think it's kind of self-explanatory if that person ends up being similar to you, even though they might not look like it at first, right? Because you know, if you're someone that's very into, I don't know, say underground music, right? You don't usually see people just wearing a shirt, yo, I like underground music, come talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Or a guy who's working on a business, who's trading or doing whatever, right? So even if at first glance you're like, oh, this guy is totally different than me, you might find out that they're more similar to you than you thought. And like I said, even if they're way different than you, that's still a good thing, because you can learn from them. You can learn a lot. You know, don't you want to learn about, I don't know, this guy might be like a very good fighter and you've never even dabbled into that kind of world. But now that you met this guy, you know, you can understand it better. Sure, you can learn it on your own, but it's way more interesting to learn it from somebody else, right? And you also make a friend who has some sort of knowledge that can be helpful in the future, you know. It's not just business transactions and stuff, but like, it seems kind of transactional in the way I'm seeing it, but no, it's actually, you know, you can learn a lot from everybody. You don't really meet people that are like just blank, you know what I'm saying? Most people do some kind of stuff, right? Some people do more, some people do less, but everybody has some things going for them, you know, at least not in terms of business necessarily, but you know, they do something in their life, right? You know, you get bored scrolling the whole day, right? I mean, there are some people that do that. That's fair, you know. I'm not saying to, if you want to get to know somebody and you find out that there is actually nothing in that person, then first, you know what I'm saying, you can leave. Or like I said, you can look at looks too, you know. You don't have to be friends with everybody, but being like, oh no, I'm the best over here. these guys are so below me. Why would I even bother talking to them? You know what I'm saying? That's a mentality that wouldn't really get you anywhere in life, right? It might get you somewhere individualistically, you know, you might make money and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, you won't be happy because you just are unable to get into a relationship because you can only see the flaws and all the positives of people, right? Think about that shit. Because, you know, especially the more grown you are, people become more and more interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, you know, in kindergarten, everybody is kind of the same, right? I mean, you could argue that's a good thing again, because, you know, they probably have the same exact habits as you. You know what I'm saying? If you're 6 years old, right? Probably all of you can be friends with basically every 6-year-old, right? Because they're the same as you. Now, can an adult be friends with a 6-year-old? Not really, because most 6-year-olds don't really do stuff. But can an adult be friends with another adult? For the most part, yes. Because, like I said, each of them have things that are either in common, which is a good thing, because you all know, you know, when you have things in common, you can easily like become friends and talk about that stuff. But also the fact that when you don't have things in common, you can learn from each other. You know what I'm saying? And I would say this: the best friends usually, I would say, that are the people, like as far as guys goes, are the guys that don't really have much in common, right? Because it's easy to be friends with somebody. You know, I used to have this friend with whom I always talked about fashion and music because we both were into that type of stuff. But I realized that while I did enjoy talking to him, he was not that good of a friend. You know, we just had a lot of things in common. No, the good friends, the really good friends, are the ones that you basically have nothing in common, yet you can still somehow talk with them for hours, right? Those are really, really powerful ones. Now, that's not really about this video, but think about the fact this when it comes to things you have in common and things you don't have in common. Because if you try to make it that as an excuse of being like, I'm so different and these are people are so different, well, maybe it's a good thing that they're different. Because when you have things in common with people, tend to get blinded by who they actually are, and you just end up talking about bullshit that you both enjoy, but you know, when it comes to more serious stuff, are they really there for you like that? Or, you know, are you really there for them like that? Or, you know, like, do the conversations ever go past fucking just, you know, the latest new music that dropped? Or, you know what I'm saying? In my case. So, yeah, this is more of a short one, but I want to end it right here. Yeah, don't think that people are pre-assume that people are just idiots and that you're better than them. No, you can learn from everybody. And it's a quote from like a physicist or something like that. I don't know who, so I'm not gonna say who because I might be completely wrong. But he was like, I've never met a person that was so ignorant that I didn't learn anything from them or something like that. So yeah, just think about that. That very smart guy. I don't know who again. You know, I'm not sure who exactly said that, but that's some real shit. You know, like you can find, and if that guy, that really smart guy, said that, it's 100 times more true for you and me, right? So yeah, look forward to new people, and don't just pre-assume things for no reason that really don't serve either you or them. Okay, so yeah, see you next time.